What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to the channel. The PTR, or Public Test Realm for Dungeon Defenders Awakens next content update is in full swing. Any players on Steam can download the PTR and get to playing. I will put a link to that down in the description below if you're interested in jumping in and checking things out. Now, this update, of course, is not live yet. It will go live on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. I'm assuming all at the exact same time. So this is just fully a testing build. Now, with that in mind, I will be doing quite a bit of testing over the next couple of weeks in the PTR. However, there is a few real standouts that I wanted to kind of show off to everyone. One of them actually isn't even in the PTR yet, but I'm so excited about seeing it that I just have got to talk about it, as it just looks awesome. But let's go to instant meta number one. This, without a doubt, will completely change the way you build. It will make this defense probably one of the most used defenses in the game. And I am, of course, talking about the siren. Oh yeah, the siren's a pretty good defense now. Does nice DPS. It's AoE, so it is a little bit of splash damage, but additionally, it provides armor to any defenses in the area. So let's say, for example, you decided to go with the old PDS stack, and you had something like that. Of course, we would want to go ahead and throw a buff beam on this. Say something like just that. Now, what would you do? What would your next step be? Well, your next step would be to enclose this all with reflect beams, right? But oh no, we are not going to do that. Instead, we are going to take advantage of the Siren's new rune. And it is a hot item, y'all. Hot item. And this, of course, is Reflective Screech. Siren's inner radius is now 400 units. And now projects a reflective shield that reflects projectiles. Now, as you see, this one is only rank 5. The higher rank you go, the larger the bubble is. But that's exactly what it is. It's a reflect beam bubble. So we throw a siren in the mix now. Not only do we get a little bit of damage out of our reflective source, but you see this purple bubble here? That is a reflect beam. So any enemy's projectiles are going to reflect off that, just like a reflect beam. Additionally, say you're on endless spires and there's lanes that are up higher, you don't have to worry about an ogre throwing a kobold down into it because it is a complete protective bubble. So it's going to protect you from all sides and elevation included. So this right here is just completely meta addition to the game. This is a must-have rune as it stands right now in the PTR. This one does drop on the new area, so its favored map is the Forsaken Temple. Of course, you will be able to get it anywhere in the same act. Now, this rune, without a doubt, is going to change metas. Reflect beams are no longer really going to be meta. If you get an 8 out of 8 version, or even just the higher quality versions, since this one's just a 5 out of 8, you can also use this in conjunction with turtle builds to protect your core because, you know, it is pretty darn big. So obviously the cores are not this big in the game, but you could use it to protect your core in a turtle build and still build out all your defenses out here while having your core completely enclosed by a reflective bubble. Now, this is just a reflective, so it's good for projectiles only. However, really, besides like maybe an ensnare aura, there is no greater meta defense in the game than reflect beams. They're used in pretty much every map on every endgame build, and that is going to be changing. Now, obviously, reflect beams you'll still have the ability to use. However, for 4DU, why on earth would you not use a siren, get the same function, and get added DPS out of it? Now, say you're on a lane that your build is having trouble with flyers. Well, easy peasy. If you go ahead and go to siren and change that over to air priority, you've now got some additional air defense on a lane as well. So super stoked about this rune. This one will be coming in the part 2 update for episode 2. Now let's hop on over to the Guardian. The Guardian is still a work in progress. Of course, this is the newest hero. There's a few defenses on it that completely shine. One of them being the Holy Cannon. Holy Cannon's got big boom boom, and it just wrecks. Just been using it to absolute devastation here. It does have a collision issue like the harpoons used to have. So I'm hoping that is something that might get changed with like an anti-clipping like the harpoon has. Of course, we don't know if that will get changed, but the cannon has got the big boom boom. There's just no doubt. It just wrecks it. Does super good. Now, in addition to that, you've got the obelisk. The obelisk as well has a very interesting rune where this is going to be like a CC type thing. It's going to shoot, and although it's single target, you see it's projecting an area on the ground. This area on the ground is going to debuff all of those enemies. So the obelisk shoots a beam of energy out of the eye, dealing damage and applying a curse to nearby enemies. So we are going to be getting a curse applied with that obelisk in that range. Now, additionally, of course, there's a rune for this one too, and that is Deadly Gaze. The obelisk will apply a dot to enemies within the circle, dealing 50% tower damage every second. So this is going to turn the obelisk then into a crowd control and AoE damage. Now, it's not going to be a main defense, but it will be an incredible supporting defense that's going to give you some an AoE slow that is stackable with other slows and provide a little bit of extra damage as well. Just so you should see here, I don't actually have any gear on this, is why the numbers are so low. This is definitely a good looking rune as well, and that one is the Deadly Gaze. Now, we've got an Owl Perch rune that adds a heal, and then this one is work in progress, so it's not really showing us what's happening, but it's called Holy Bulwark Heal, and that makes me think that it might be a heal similar to like the Archer heal on the Summoner. And if that's the case, this defense is going to be so game-changing for so many people. Why don't you use walls right now? One of two reasons. You're either too early in the game, you don't have enough range, and ogres and orcs just cleave all of your defenses you put behind because you don't have enough range to take advantage of using walls. Of course, late game, you kind of overpower the builds, and then you don't need walls. So although walls can be super effective in massacre mode content, most players are not using walls because they just don't need them with lots of crowd control stacking and damage out there. Now, one of the things about this, it is still work in progress. It's not set on the PTR, but this is one thing that I am super excited to check out. Reading it directly from the patch notes, the Holy Bulwark is still a work in progress. As such, in the PTR, will be just a simple blockade for now. That said, our goal here is to allow the Holy Bulwark to protect nearby defenses by taking any damage they receive, instead of the tower being hit taking damage. This is a direct answer to like Ogre Cleave damage, or Orc Cleave damage, or a Kobold Explosion, anytime you have defenses that are placed directly behind. So say we had an obelisk right here and we put it right on top of the wall, and say we're new to the game and we've got really trash tier range and our range is like only here or something, we don't have to worry about backing this defense up so that it doesn't take the cleave damage. We're able to get the full range out of it, because if an ogre comes up and cleaves at the obelisk, the damage that the obelisk would have taken will be directed to the bulwark. Now, obviously, you would set the bulwark so it takes as little damage as possible. You'd want to set it up with lots of health on a buff beam and a strength drain aura, so you get all of those damage reductions in there. And that will keep this defense alive. So what does that mean for endgame players? Oh, damn, y'all. It means we gotta be using some flamethrowers. Oh, yeah, heat cannons are gonna be in. Heat cannons right now are so absurdly powerful. yet they're not hardly ever used because their range is so short. This is going to completely open up heat cannon metas, no doubt about it. In fact, I can show you what I think a picture of a build just might look like that I think would absolutely shred all of the content. And that is something like this. So we'll get an ensnare aura here. We'll get a strength drain aura here. We'll get a buff beam going through. Something like, just say that. And then, oh yeah, we'll throw a siren right on top of it for that wonderful, wonderful bubble. And what do we got? We got a bad boy setup. We got a siren that's set to target flyers, for example, because our heat cannons won't be hitting flyers. Or the range mobs, like archers or whatever it is, they'll be outside of the heat cannon's range. But then we've got 2 heat cannons that are annihilating everything in the lane that we don't have to worry about because they're going to be protected. Now remember, not only is the siren going to be giving that bubble, the siren is also given that armor. So you're getting a bonus to the rift armor or you're getting a armor bonus by using the siren. You see we're 43.44% armor without. With the siren, once we throw it in there, that is going to take us up to 58.44%. So we're getting that armor bonus, we're getting the reflect beam, we've got 2 defenses that can just wreck and devastate entire lanes. Plus, we've got another form of damage in there that's we can change the targeting on to handle any sort of specific mobs, whether it be special enemies, air targeting, whatever. So looking forward to this bulwark getting squared away. I'm hoping that it actually gets a PTR update before the PTR is over, but we may have to wait for that one to come to launch. So I will be playing the PTR pretty heavily, as I mentioned, over the next couple of weeks, so make sure you swing by the streams if you have any questions. I'll be testing all the things out as they get changed. Right now, the standouts for me, as far as the Guardian's defenses, the Bulwark, which we can't really functionally use yet. The Empowering Shrine is kind of a no-brainer. It's a straight DPS buff. So, and you see the range on it is pretty darn enormous. So, every boss fight, this is just kind of going to be instant meta. That combined with it only being 3 DU, it's pretty easy to throw one down. Just good stuff there. The Owl Perch needs a little bit of love. In my opinion, it's a little bit underwhelming. It's not actually functioning in the tavern at all. It will function in a map, but it just doesn't do wonderful things. Then we've got the Holy Cannon, which, as I mentioned, is big boom boom. That is, without a doubt, a very usable defense, just in its current form in endgame. And then we've got the Obelisk, which, once again, extremely usable defense. You can set the targeting on the Obelisk, say to strong, and it's going to just CC ogres into the ground. Assuming you have an ensnare aura out here as well, and then maybe a spider in the mix. The Obelisk set to strong is going to be targeting those ogres, and an ogre is just not going to move real quick, y'all. Going to be lots and lots of time to smash it up. So there are the initial standouts for me with the Guardian. Still super stoked about testing out more on the PTR, but that will do it for this episode. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.